Hey guys, Gary here from RV Living Life. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and ringing that little bell. Anyway, today we are going to change the fluid in our Aquahot. It takes Century Transfer Fluid, which is a boiler fluid. It's considered as GRAS, G-R-A-S. It's non-toxic. GRAS means generally regarded as safe. So if it does get spilt, it's safe for animals and vegetation, what have you. But anyway, I've taken the cover off here, and you can see I'm fumbling through some loose wires. Don't worry about that. I did a little wiring in here. I didn't clean up the wires properly, but there's the valve for draining out the Aquahot. And if you have a diesel Aquahot, this one's propane. It's a 400 LP. If you have diesel, it's going to be something quite similar as to how this all works. So here I'm just hooking on a clear plastic hose, and I'm going to be using this hose for draining out the fluid, and I'm going to be draining it into 1-gallon bottles. I've collected a whole bunch of them, milk jugs and distilled water jugs and what have you. I've decided to cut the hose a little long, so I'm just cutting it off here, and then I'm sitting it inside of one of them 1-gallon jugs. So you're supposed to do this with the Aquahot cool, but unfortunately I had it running all night. I turned it off about an hour before doing this, so the fluid is still quite hot. That's why I'm using a rag. You have to be careful you don't burn yourself with this, because this thing runs hot. It'll definitely scald you. So now I'm draining out the fluid. The fluid is supposed to be a green color, a yellowish green. As you can see, it is not that at all. It's been mixed with pink fluid and what have you, and it just turns generally brown. It's not great to mix the fluids. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You can see the color there is quite brown. But here I'm going to drain a second jug. But, you know, leaving the fluid in for a long period of time is not great. If you had an Oasis furnace, they would recommend changing the boiler fluid once every 3 years. Aquahot says it's fine, you can keep reusing it. Look at the color of that fluid. It's definitely time for a change. So all in all, I took out 6 gallons of fluid, and now I'm just using a coupler, and I'm reattaching that hose with a couple zip ties here. I'm going to start refilling the Aquahot. I drained it right out dry. There will be some fluid in it because it doesn't all drain out of the floor areas and everywhere else it runs. So I'm going to put 6 gallons of distilled water in it. Distilled water is pretty cheap. It's about $1 to $1.50 a jug at Walmart or wherever else you want to get it. And I'm going to be filling it through the bottom the same way I drained it. And all I'm doing is I'm holding a hose up high here. I actually zip tied the funnel to the air shock on the door, and I'm just pouring in distilled water. So it's a bit of a slow process. You know, you have to pour it in slowly and make sure you don't overflow the funnel. But when you're filling it through the bottom, it's definitely a lot faster than trying to fill it through the overflow bottle. And when you're filling it this way, it also allows the air to be pushed up. You know, the liquid fills in the bottom of the Aquahot, and it raises the air up and out. And any air coming out will be coming out through the overflow bottle. There's also a very small valve on the top of the Aquahot with a little screw you can loosen, and that will also allow air to come out. I found it's not necessary to do, but you could do that as well. But if you do loosen it off, make sure you tighten it again, because it will definitely be leaking Aquahot fluid out of there afterwards. So I've got it filled up to the bottom, or I should say to the top of the Aquahot box itself. And what you're seeing here is I'm just putting a hose clamp onto a new line I ran between the Aquahot and the Aquahot boiler itself, because I wanted it to be nice and clear so I could see through it. And now that I have the fluid full up to the top of the Aquahot box, I'm taking out the overflow line. I've seen people struggle to try and fill the overflow bottle there with coffee cups or pumps with hoses and all that. I just use the overflow line itself. I lift it up like this and I start pouring fluid in. And the reason I'm pouring it in this way now is I want to fill it from the top, and it's going in the Aquahot bottle, the overflow, and it's slowly working its way down inside the Aquahot. And you can see on the clear tube that I replaced there, the bubbles coming up. So air is definitely coming out of the Aquahot. And once I get it filled to the low mark on the bottle, I will turn the Aquahot on and get it circulating and just continue this process. Make sure that when you're doing this, the Aquahot is off, of course, and you have the power, the 12 volt and the 110 off. But if the cover is off, then the Aquahot won't run anyway. And now I'm satisfied that I have enough fluid inside there, so I'm just taking the funnel off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump the fluid from the hose into the top of the bottle I was using. That way nothing runs onto the ground. There's no use wasting any distilled fluid, distilled water. I'm just temporarily sitting that there. And I'm going to put the cover back on. So it has been drained and filled. So a couple things I'd like to mention is I've seen other people doing these videos and they just drain the fluid out and then refill it with new fluid. They did not rinse it with distilled water. I also saw someone else in a video do it and they were just running a hose into it to rinse it out. Well, you're putting minerals right back in there. That's why you use distilled water. You don't want any minerals going back into the Aquahot. But I'm just going to sit the jug here and let it run for a long period of time. And once all the bubbles are out, we just go through the whole process again. We drain all the distilled water out. I don't need to show you that. And then we put the new Century fluid in. And then after the new Century fluid is in, we come back to looking at it and seeing this beautiful green colored fluid inside the new clear hose, and it looks great. So that's it. It was a pretty simple job. It takes a couple hours, once you get the distilled water in it, you'll want to run it for a while and make sure it mixes well. Also, after I drained the distilled water out, I noticed it was still colored a bit. So I just left the bottom valve open and pouring into a jug, and I just poured 2 more gallons of distilled water through the top overflow bottle, and it ran all the way down through the fluid or through the whole system and cleaned it right out. You can see now that the hose is really green and it looks good. It was a good job. Anyway, that's it. It's Gary here from RV Living Life. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment. We'd love to see your comments. Take care, everyone. Bye now. Thanks for watching.